Party people, what's going on? It's Samaj Marsh. I'm the founder of BlueDeathValley.com. I want to welcome you guys back to another special episode of Inside the Valley, the podcast that's devoted to relentless coverage of A&T football. And of course, I got my two co-hosts here. I know they're excited. It's a special night. First up, former A&T wide receiver and a native of Greensboro, North Carolina. My man, Dougie Fresh Brown. What up, Douglas? What's going on?
Hey, man, I'm getting it started right, man. Y'all know what it is, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Christmas Eve, right? Christmas Eve.
Man.
For the big show.
Night before Christmas, all through the house. And of course, we got the man in the middle, speaks in facts, does not talk in riddle. Long-time A&T insider, beat writer on BlueDeathValley.com for over 2 decades. And the current president of the Greensboro chapter of the AAF, my right-hand man, the brains of the operation, Craig Turner. What's up, CT?
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up?
Man, listen.
24 hours. Aggie pride. This has been a long time coming.
Man, the countdown begins. So look, guys, I guess, what is it? 24 hours from now, Thursday night at 7 p.m., or I guess 23 hours from now, we're going to make that trip down I-40 to Winston-Salem, and we're going to start the 2024 football season against ACC foe Wake Forest. Last time we played them, I believe a young Douglas Brown was playing wide receiver for the Aggies. It was on the field. Remember that game, Dougie?
Yeah, remember it well. We were on the losing end of a lopsided victory, but it was a historic day for the Aggies because that was our first time facing an ACC opponent, let alone a Division I opponent. What was considered, Division 1A back in those days. So it was a good experience, man. Got to play against some former high school buddies and rivals, and memory will always take with us. Got a lot of stories and classics from that game, but we're gonna keep those amongst our 2003 team. Good times, man. Definitely a good time.
Yeah, the outcome was not in our favor, but I think we learned a lot. And you was able to put some resume tape to that game. Did you get a couple catches in that game?
Man, I got a couple, man. Had one I wanted to get back, but that's the nature of the game, man. It definitely was a intense game, and just like any first game or any early game in the season, man, the jitters were going. That ball comes out a little bit harder off the quarterback hands in games like that during warm-ups.
Yeah,
you're running a little bit faster, so timing can be off. So it took a while for the Aggies to settle down that day, but it was a breakout performance by our associate athletic director, Quante Spate, that night.
Yes, I remember.
His debut. So he went off out there and kind of started to write his story as an Aggie football running back. But man, games like this are big. I like to say that game was one of the first steps towards knocking off some of those D1 opponents that the Aggies face years down the road and a few head coaches later. But you need that experience. And for all those naysayers and those pundits who don't agree with playing those considered money games or ACC opponents, man, if you're a competitor and you're a football player, you love it, right?
You want it. You
come to A&T, and I think I said this before. A lot of kids come to A&T for games like this. How nice is it to open up against an ACC opponent, and for those kids to have opportunities to play against guys they grew up with, and in a conference they likely grew up watching games in too, right? Let's face it, the MAC games weren't necessarily broadcasted nationwide, for all eternity. So a lot of people grew up watching Atlantic Coast football. But hey, we're here to do what we do. Like Coach said, we're gonna line down and play some football, man. So it'll be a great experience and a great night for the Aggies all the way around.
Yes, sir. And of course, Craig Turner, it's not football season until you publish your annual BlueDeathValley.com preview, and you did that this morning. And you gave us the ins and outs of what to expect. I know it was an arduous task for you because you had to compile data, do some cross-referencing. You had so many stats and heights and weights. I mean, you really just didn't, just paste and copy stuff. You had, man, listen, you put together your own docket of exclusive information and gave it to the fans. So when they go to BlueDeathValley.com and click that button, what can they expect from your preview?
Well, basically, given it's a whole new year, and there's a lot of roster changes, and there's a lot of things that transpired through spring ball and through fall camp. So, try to give a quick synopsis of of what I think we'll see as far as personnel is concerned, and what some of the strengths and weaknesses. Just looking at it on paper, you never know until you actually get out there and play. I don't care whether you got, I don't care if you got 22 guys coming back or you got 2 guys coming back. You never know what you're going to get until you actually kick it off and somebody starts hitting somebody else in the mouth. And so it's kind of like just a best guess type of deal. But I
educated
feel
guess, educated
yeah,
guess.
educated guess, I guess. Um, but I think I want to give basically I want to give folks a rundown as far as personnel is concerned because we have had a lot of changes, a lot of new people added, new coaches come in. It's going to be a different look. I can tell you that right now. David Marsh is not Chris Young. Okay, I can guarantee you that their philosophies on football are completely different.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to see what this air raid offense is going to look like.
Okay. Well, you know what? We got to talk about this opponent because Wake Forest, they went 4-8 last year. I think 1-7 in the ACC, if I'm not mistaken. So they got a lot of they want to make a statement too. So they want to put last year behind them. So what I did, of course, man, I don't want to just pontificate and assume I know everything. I want to talk to the people who really know. So I reached out, man, to my man. He's an insider with the Wake Forest football program. He runs. He's a publisher of a media outlet called Deacons Illustrated. I think he's doing for almost past 8 years. He's a heavy hitter. He knows his stuff. He knows Wake Forest. So let's bring it to the show. Let's talk about this game from the other perspective. Let me bring in Mr. Conor O'Neill. What's going on, Conor? How you doing,
guys?
buddy?
How's it going?
Man, hey, what's up, man?
Welcome.
We're excited. And we hear you crystal clear. You look good. Your camera's great. So, hey, are you as excited? Are you chipping at the bit like we are? Because we're geeking out over here. How do you feel about this game tomorrow, man?
You guys might have me beat on the excitement level. It's a little it's kind of muted with Wake because they're coming off such a bad season. I'm glad I have football to write about and football to watch instead of practices. Like we get full access with Wake practices and we can go to all of them through fall camp. So when we're finished that, I feel like I have a good handle on them, but I also feel like I might have some overexposure and I might think they're actually better than they are. So I want to see it actually play out when they get in front of a team that, they haven't been practicing against the same people for 2.5, 3 weeks, that kind of thing.
Right. Now, your coach with Dave Clawson, he's been there for 11 years now? It's been 11 years?
Yep, this will be year 11.
And he has some hardware. He was ACC Coach of the Year, I think, 2021. You guys been going to bowl games. I think really he's been super successful at building a program the right way. Somehow I guess the wheels fell off last year. What in your opinion? Hindsight's 2020, but looking back, if you want to do a post-mortem, what went wrong, or what were some of the things that went wrong for you guys last year?
Wake's offense was so good for so many years. They went from John Wolford was the starting quarterback for the first 2 years that Dave was at Wake, and it was rough. Like they were 3-9 both of those years, but then that paid off, and all of a sudden they had this offensive explosion in 2017 when John was a senior, and then it carried over to a freshman, Sam Hartman, and then Jamie Newman replaced him because of an injury. Then Jamie Newman had a great start to the 2019 season. And then the reins were turned over to Sam Hartman for 3 years, and he became the ACC's all-time leader in touchdown passes. So they had all these great quarterbacks lead great offenses. Like it wasn't just the quarterbacks. They had a ton of skill around them. And the simple answer about last year is they got quarterback wrong. They had a guy named Mitch Griffiths who had kind of been groomed for the position. Like he started a game in 22 when Sam was out because of a medical procedure. He'd been in the program. He in practice, he looked great. Like you can't. Wake fans are tired of hearing about that by now because they heard it all last year, and they were waiting. Like the staff and players kept telling everybody, wait for Mitch to kind of wait for it to click in games because we see it in practices, and it just never clicked. So they got quarterback wrong last year, and then the offensive line in front of him was banged up. They had some guys that were inexperienced playing. They lost a key guy in the second game of the year. Their receivers didn't make as many big plays. They lost Donovan Green, who was in line to be their top receiver on like the second day of fall camp to a non-contact injury. He missed the year. It was kind of a systematic failure on offense on all levels, every position. Just kind of that's where it fell off the cliff.
Well, you're not gonna get any sympathy from us because I'm not sure how much research you did about A&T, but when it came to offense, anemic does not put into words just how poor this offense we had last year. We were dead last. When I say dead, I ain't talking about near. I'm talking about the bottom, dead last in FCS football in passing offense. There were several games where we had like 18 yards passing. So I mean, not just one. There were multiple times where we finished with 18 yards passing. I think we bookend the first game of the season. We had like 18 yards, and then like the first 3 quarters of the last game of the season, we had 18 yards. So it was just comedy errors. We did a course correction pretty quickly after the season ended, and we brought in a new offensive coordinator, a guy named David Marsh. And Craig, he'll tell you a little bit about this guy. You know, he's from Texas Southern. He's from an air raid background. Okay. But he's known to do to morph his scheme around his personnel. So he can do anything. We don't know. We'll find out Thursday night what's his his bread and butter. But I think the cool thing about Thursday is that both our programs are playing kind of a little coy with who's going to be a starting quarterback, right? Because I know Clausen in the press conference, Clausen didn't want to reveal his hand. He didn't want to tell you who's going to be a starter, right?
Yeah, that's right. They had a really close battle throughout all camp. It's going to either be Hank Bachmeier, a 6th-year guy who some ACC fans know his name because he came in as a true freshman all the way back in 2019 and won at Florida State in his first game. So he spent 4 years at Boise State. He transferred and spent last year at Louisiana Tech, and then he's got 1 more year of eligibility, and he's going to spend that playing for Wake this year. Or it's going to be Michael Kern, who is also a 6th-year guy.
Wow.
He's a little bit more the interesting story to me because he's never really gotten a shot to be Wake's starting quarterback. He was put in last year in the middle of the Virginia Tech game and got a shoulder injury at the end of the game. So he would have replaced Mitch Griffiths back in like early October last year, but he had to miss a month. And then by the end of the year, Wake is playing the last 2 games. Michael Kern's first start wound up being at Notre Dame, ironically on Sam Hartman's quote-unquote senior day up there after he'd already had a senior day at Wake Forest.
Yes.
So it's just the state of college athletics and college football right now. But it'll be one of those 2 guys. The one thing that, like, they're similar in skill set. They do a lot of the same things as well or almost as well as the other one does. The main difference is Bachmeier will throw into coverage a lot more. Like he'll press the issue. He'll try to force the ball into some spaces that sometimes they create explosive gains. Sometimes they create the ball going the other way. Michael Kern's plays it a little more safe. And I'm not saying he's just kept in check down with just nickel and diamond down the field, but you won't get that as much from Kern.
So Craig, I'll let you know, he showed us his, we got to show him how ours. So you tell Mr. Conor what to expect from the Aggie quarterback room. Who you think is going to roll out there first tomorrow?
Well, if you got a couple choices that we'll probably see both quarterbacks tomorrow. One is KJ White, who's a sophomore, started 5 games for us last year. Was a true freshman. did an admirable job given the circumstance. He was thrust in because of ineffective quarterback play. We put him in his first start against Norfolk State. Happened to be the only game we won last year. But he had a big day that day. He is a tremendous he has tremendous speed. Great. He can make you miss. He's one of those type of guys who will make you miss and break your ankles. And he's also got a pretty good arm. He's improved a lot over the spring and through the summer as far as his passing is concerned. And they're looking for big things out of him. He, like I just said, the guy can fly. If you miss him, he's gone. If he gets out in open space, he's gone.
Yeah.
We brought in a transfer from Houston Christian. Kid by the name of Justin Fomby. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school out of Georgia. Big kid, about 6'4.5", about 230. Got a cannon. He got a rocket for an arm. The guy can throw it. He had a big year in 2022. Threw for over 2,000 yards, close 2,000 yards, 18, 19 touchdowns. Was injured last year, transferred into A&T last December, and got the bulk of the snaps in spring ball and into fall camp. So those two guys are going to be the two main guys, and got a couple other quarterbacks that may or may not play tomorrow. But those two guys right there, I think our coach. Coach Vincent Brown is doing pretty much what Dave Clawson is doing. He's not telling anybody who that starting quarterback's going to be, but we do know that probably both of them are going to play. So it's going to be interesting. We're kind of in the same boat you guys are in that we're waiting to see what transpires.
Hey, so Connor, let me ask you this: do you think there's anything to gain from that? I mean, like, you know, that whole gamemanship. I'm not going to tell you who my starters are. I mean, is that any type of advantage you get when it comes down to it?
I think football coaches think there is more of an advantage than there actually is.
Right.
I don't know that it's that much of a difference, especially with what Craig is saying. I'm sure Wake has scouted A&T as much as Craig has and knows that if Fomby comes in, he's going to be more of the thrower. And if it's KJ, I'm sorry, what was KJ's name?
KJ White. Yeah,
KJ
Kevin
White.
Jr. Kevin White Jr. Yeah.
If it's him, then it's going to be geared more towards run. The question that I kind of have is if it's going to be more of an air raid offense, would that set up better to have the transfer Justin Fomby play?
Well, you know, we got this 3-headed monster at running back, and Doug, you jump in here. Give him an idea, because this is kind of our strength. You know, we love our quarterbacks. I'll tell you right now, just to piggyback on what Craig said, there's no doubt in my mind, the most athletic quarterback in that stadium, I don't care who you got recruited by, how much NIL money, is KJ White. This guy, you'll see him. He'll get outside the pocket, and he's just going to make every linebacker on that field look like they're running backwards, right? He's just that explosive. Now, he's only 185 pounds. So I'm not sure how many times he can take a hit from a Wake Forest linebacker and pop back up. We'll have to find that out. But, Doug, we do.
Hopefully, we won't find that out. I'm getting a bunch of hits.
Yeah. Hey, you know, Marshall Glenn is still massaging his shoulder every Tuesday because of that hit 20 years ago. But we do the quarterback. A quarterback's best friend, if not the offensive line, is behind him. That running back he can get hand off to. So tell Connor, we do feel pretty good about our running game, right?
We do feel really good about our running game. We've had success against former ACC opponents down the road at Duke, and against FCS opponents as well. A&T is known as running back east, so we expect nothing less but our backfield to be competitive. That started way back in the days of Coach Bill Hayes, who they'll be honoring during the game. I think he's an honorary captain, who was the first black head coach in the ACC, or as he likes to say, this side of the Mississippi. But it'll be a special night for him. But he believed in the run game. We've been able to carry that tradition. We've got some outstanding young men. They do a little bit of everything. We got some bruisers. We got some speed guys. But we got kids that pretty much fit our scheme and fit any scheme. So we're going to, of course, be looking to dominate up front and try to move the ball that way. The hope is that you're not able to just load the box and prevent us from running and force us into passing the football. And if that is the case, our hope is that we're able to be a little more effective than we were passing the football last year. But, you know, I don't know what to expect. This is our first time seeing Coach Brown take on an ACC opponent. Obviously, he's not calling offensive plays. We have a new offensive coordinator. So as Samaj said, we don't know totally what to expect, but we hope that he's versatile enough to kind of counter whatever you see on defense. Because contrary to Samaj's beliefs, I think it is something to holding on to your quarterback information. Sometimes games come down to one possession, right? And so if that one possession and that one score may come in the first drive, and let's face it, both teams are going out there blind without any recent film of the opponent to really have a good idea of what they're going to do offensively, like you have, or defensively, like you may have third, fourth game of the season when teams start to really show their true colors and who they are. So, you know, funny things happen in football game. We just watched another football game amongst some of our old favorite HBCUs with Norfolk and FAMU, and you know, that was a 14-point swing early on in the game that people didn't expect. And I give a little bit of credit to both teams filling each other out and trying to find out what they were doing. So, you know, we've been in some games early on that, you know, we were able to hang around and not finish late against some bigger opponents. So hopefully that's not the case Saturday. I'm looking for us to be competitive. You know, I think Wake opened up with a CAA game last year with Elon, and we saw some of Elon's guys make some plays like Caleb Curtin and really make a name for himself. Yeah. So there's some similarities amongst this game and last year's game. Thought Elon played Wake really tough last year. Again, two different teams, 2 different years. You went into depth about kind of what the Wake Forest situation was, and we know what our situation was. So 2 teams looking for a clean slate and a fast start. So, you know, I'm looking forward to it. It's the new version of like a Winston-Salem I-40 brawl. So hopefully it's something we can continue.
By the way, somebody's got to explain to me how Caleb Curtin is still at Elon. Because I covered Duke also, and I've been writing that preview. Like that kid.
I was rooting for him to be gone, man. I was hoping he was gone.
Be a power conference player.
Right. And he was, I think he was CAA preseason player of the year. And he had a couple of guys. He's from Greensboro. He played at Grimsley High School. And a couple of guys from Greensboro went to Elon, and they already got the transfer portal and got their money. The big tight end from Dudley, I forget his name. But yeah, I like every and that's a good question. It's a good segue because you guys are playing in this new frontier of FBS football, where pretty much if you don't have a NIL budget, you really don't give yourself a chance to compete. How does the new landscape affect your fan base, right? Because some people I've heard are disillusioned by just pay for play and all the ways the recruiting is going. How is the Wake fan base handled the new reality of NIL?
Man, it's tough because I mean Wake is a small school, and you guys, if I think either two of you or all 3 of you are in North Carolina, you know that Wake is everybody's second favorite school, but they're not winning any popularity contests even in Winston-Salem. So it's tough to come up with a budget, and Clausen was really honest and realistic about that in his presser the other day, where he says basically we're going to play some teams this year with really high payrolls, and we have to play really, really well against those teams. And I look at it, and it's, you know, 3rd week of the season, you got Ole Miss coming in, and Lane has been not so shy about how they're buying players and buying talent. And then games 5 and 6 are NC State and Clemson. So you've got one side of the ACC where NC State has improved their offense dramatically through the transfer portal. And you've got Clemson over there that just Dabo refuses to use the transfer portal to cover up any losses, but they're still going to have the top high school recruiting class in the ACC, or one of the top 2 with, you know, Miami and Florida State are in there also. But you look, I mean, Wake is, you won't find much more honesty than what Clausen tells you about. They're gonna do what they can to get transfers, but they're not winning any bidding wars when they get in the water with somebody like an NC State or somebody even to grab from other conferences. Like the SEC schools and the Big 10 schools and the Big 12 schools, they're gonna almost all gonna pay more than what Wake is able to offer, and that's why. I mean, Wake's transfers, Hank Bachmeier came from Louisiana Tech. They have a linebacker named Branson Combs who will start. He came from Southern Illinois. They got a defensive end from Georgetown. They got a running back from Bridgewater, which I think is a D2 or D3.
D3.
I mean,
yeah.
It's not like Wake is out there pulling in all the transfers that everybody wants. So
you got one of our linebackers a couple years ago, Jacob Roberts, and he was pretty.
Jacob Roberts was great last year. Like that was,
yeah.
I hated it for Jacob Roberts that he comes in and it's the one year that Wake doesn't go to a bowl game, because he was a fantastic player and I loved talking to him, but he just happened to arrive when the offense nosedived and they couldn't win any games. But that wasn't on him.
Right.
But like Wake is going to have to find diamonds in the rough, a lot like they've had to do with high school recruiting for basically Clawson's entire tenure. If you look at how many 2-stars that Clawson has brought in that have developed into NFL players, they're almost better at developing the 2-stars than they are the 4-stars. They've gotten a few 4-stars here and there. Those guys don't pan out that much, but you're talking about like Jesse Bates was a 2-star and Greg Dortch was a 2-star. Phil Haynes was a 2-star. Like those are the guys. So the transfer portal stuff, it's probably going to have to happen in a lot of the same way, where Wake will grab the guys from lower levels or guys off the end of the bench from a power conference school, and they've got to develop and turn them into contributors and starters and that kind of thing.
So, do you guys have a active NIL collective at Wake?
They do. It's Roll the Quad.
Okay.
Wake was a little late on the collective game. They had a couple different ones that were not all that organized.
Yeah.
So it took about
I think
a year.
That's kind of where we are right now. We're still trying to figure it out, and I think we're just trying to catch up with the Joneses right now. You know, we don't. I think we have a collective, but I'm not sure how serious we are in earnest that we're making things happen. But go ahead.
Yeah, it was about a year. There were a couple like startups that looked like they had momentum for a couple weeks, and then you never heard about them again.
Yeah, that's us.
And it basically took all of Wake's major donors and boosters coming together and throwing their names onto a board of trustees or directors or whatever, and that's how it's come together. Trying to think when that came together. I think I took a phone call on Thanksgiving Day 2022 with somebody telling me that it was going to come together, and then it was, they announced it the next day or something like that. It was like, all right. I mean, honestly, it got like if you're getting into it, I think there's so much bullshit out there with NIL reporting and offers that aren't actually offered. Like the numbers get conflated so much that I just don't have the time or energy to actually put those numbers out there, because everybody has every incentive to lie and nobody has any incentive to tell the truth. So
what you've been able to fact check or whatever, do you have any idea of like the highest amount Wake has paid or given to a single player in NIL? Do you know what the high watermark has been?
I can guesstimate. I would probably say, I think that would go to retaining players more than it has been to bring in players out of the portal. Yeah, that's the retention. Like retention becomes so important at Wake because they have been a developmental program. So keeping a guy like Jasheen Davis, starting defensive end, who you'll see tomorrow night, he's a monster. He's, I think, 10 sacks away from being the all-time sacks leader at Wake Forest. I would guesstimate he's making $400,000 to $500,000 to be retained, and that would probably be the highest on the team.
Wow!
But you've also got a left tackle in Devontae Gordon who could be all ACC. You've got a running back in Damon Claiborne that probably could have been bought by a number of schools that needed an explosive running back. And I can tell you, when you're talking about a football roster that goes 85 deep, the numbers, when the roster shrinks, the numbers go way up when you're talking about basketball. So that's the one where Like Wake's basketball program just got Hunter Salas. He was testing the NBA waters. He might have been a first-round pick or early second-round pick. They get him back. Now they're talked about as a top 25 team. I think he's making. I'm positive he's making 7 figures for this season, and it might be closer to a 2 and that 2 as that first number instead of a 1.
$2 million, and that's it every year. I'm assuming.
It's just this. It's his last year. So
a $2 million senior. Major.
And
that's awesome.
That's just kind of what I think. Like it might be 1.5. But
right.
Yeah, what I'm saying.
So basically, you're telling me that it's going to be a long day before A&T is able to play in that pool, swim that. That's just big bank take little bank, and right now we ain't got the big bank, so we'll have to find other ways to get better. But we got some good coaches and some solid administrators. So let's talk about this game. Let's just get to the brass tacks here. Conor, what's one thing, and when you get to your press box, wherever you sit and watch the game at, what's one thing that you're going to look for that if you see this happening, like, okay, this is going to be a good night for us? Like, is there anything that's going to be like the barometer?
If you're a Wake fan, you just kind of want to see their offense click. I can't say enough how bad their offense looked last year, and it was just so jarring because they had 6 to 7 years of you could bank on Wake scoring 30 points in just an okay game for them, and then all of a sudden last year they struggled to put 20 on the board. Sometimes they struggled to get to 14. So if you see their offense start to click, if you see they bristle when you call it the slow mesh, so I'll call it the spread option RPO heavy offense that they've run forever. If you start to see that click where if it's an inside handoff, the running back's picking up 8 yards and it's 2nd and 2, and then you're able to run the same play, and if the slant is open, you hit the slot receiver on the slant and it's 15 yards and tempo picks up. Like, that's the thing that I think all Wake fans want to see. I think that's the thing that the staff wants to see, and that's why it kind of like we're like moths to a flame when it comes to quarterback discussion, but it really doesn't matter which one of them is the quarterback. It's just whichever one can move the offense efficiently. And that's where, like, I plead ignorance on what A&T has coming up after this, but Wake has their first conference game next week. So they got to figure out who the quarterback is in this game to move into a really important game against Virginia. And then Ole Miss comes to town with assuming a top 10 ranking. So
and this is
the one where Wake has to figure out what their offense is. And then on the other side of the ball, like when Doug was talking about the rushing game being a strength of A&T's, the front 6 or front 7 of Wake's defense should be their strength. Like, their corners are really inexperienced. They brought in one guy from Kent State, but their secondary gives me cause for concern. I don't have much concern about what they've got on the defensive line and in the linebacker core. So that's going to be a little strength on strength matchup that's fun to watch tomorrow night.
All right, Craig. So I'm going to throw that same question to you from the A&T perspective. What's one thing you're going to look for that if you identify this early, you're going to be like, okay, this is going to be our night? Well, what's that for you, for Craig?
If we're able to run the football, I mean, we excel at that. That's what we do best, and I'm sure Wake is probably going to put 8-9 guys in the box. But so there'll be opportunities for us to throw the ball. We'll have to connect on those intermediate passes because they're going to be open because they're going to have to respect the run. It'll be just how well our whoever the quarterback is for this game, how well we make our reads and understand where the pressure is coming from. Wake, from what I've been able to see, likes to blitz a little bit. They like to bring people off the edge quite a bit in 3rd and long situations. How well we do against that will go a long way as to what kind of offensive consistency we have. Defensively, we're in pretty good shape. We have an excellent secondary that I'm not concerned about.
Okay.
We've got 4 5-year or 3 5-year guys back there that can play with anybody. Karan Prunty is one of the best in the country. He proved that when he was at Kansas, when he was all Big 12 out there, and he's been an All-American here. The guy's an NFL draft pick. Aaron Harris is tough at the other corner. So and we're good at safety. Our linebacker core is going to be pretty good. They're young, but they played a lot of minutes last year as true freshmen. They got baptism by fire, and we're a little bit bigger at linebacker than we have been in past years. Key for us defensively will be stopping the run. We've got to stop. We got to stop the running back, the kid from Wake Forest at running back. He's tough. But if we can control the ground game, we can make a game out of this thing. We have to control weights, take away the explosive plays, and control their power running game.
Hey, so Connor, is that Desmond Claiborne? Is he referring to? That's your bell cow running back?
Demond, yeah.
Demond. Okay.
He's been coming for a little bit. He basically only had to learn how to pass block, and that kind of came last year. That was one of the silver linings of last year, was he really turned that into a strength of his, and he's explosive. I think he's got a chance. Plus, in the last 10 years, he's had 1,000-yard running back. They love a timeshare. They want to have 2 running backs, possibly 3. I think Demond might be his second 1,000-yard rusher this year. He's that good.
Okay, so the guy in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, Doug Brown, he actually played in the Wake Forest game 20 years ago. I know he looks like he's 21 years old, but he actually played in 2004. So check this out. Doug, give us an idea. What are the night before Christmas? What are the players? What's their mindset when they going up against an FBS opponent like Wake Forest? What is does A&T just like we feel like we're gonna be giant killers or?
Yeah. You're definitely going out to shock the world. And I mean,
Yeah.
It's one thing to play this game, but to play it as your first game of the season when you've had a week to watch other teams play,
Right.
Kick off week 0. So I know those guys are chomping at the bit to get out there. It'll be very important, as Cade Malador spoke last week, just to control your nerves and calm down and get your body and your mind in a state that you can perform, because it's going to be tough. It'll be an active atmosphere, being that it's a night game and Wake's first home game. Plenty of excitement. 2 local schools, so I expect there'll be a big visiting crowd. The blue and gold marching machine will be in the building.
Okay.
So that adds another level of excitement.
Yeah.
So it's kind of everybody's first. It's like the first day of school, right? It's everybody's first chance to see each other and link up. So I know those guys will be excited, but it's still football, right? And when you have a coaching staff like Coach Brown and his guys, it's up to those guys to kind of calm the guys and get them in the right state of mind. But you got to go out and make plays. That was my key for the game. We got to make some plays, and when you've got someone to kind of take the pressure off everyone else, whether it's your quarterback, guys like Tariq Cohen in the past who had big games and had big performances in some of his biggest games, and Elijah Bell and those guys, Zach Leslie. You need those guys, you need your guys to perform like those guys in the past, right? Just to make a big play, to take the pressure off everyone, because A&T will have butterflies, but guess what? Wake Forest will have some butterflies too, right?
Yeah.
And coming from a Wake standpoint, the worst thing that can happen for those guys is for us to make some big plays and kind of steal some of that early momentum. And guys like Conor saying, "Oh no, this looks a little bit like last year." Hold on, what's going on here? This is not the offensive chemistry I was looking for early on. And then the stadium gets a little uneasy, and then the away team gets all the momentum. So there's a lot of ebb and flows throughout a football game. Of course, being on the visiting side and being the away team against the ACC opponent, you're kind of playing uphill, but it's just key just to remember you're playing football, same sport, same game you've been playing since you were a little kid, and this is why you come to A&T to play a game like this. So it should be par for the course for our guys. They've played in games like this before. They did open up with UAB last year on a Thursday night, so our staff does have some experience preparing a team for a away game like that. And not only experience, we faced it with a little bit of adversity last year. Our defensive coordinator was on paternity leave.
Oh,
Yeah, his wife went to labor, I think, like the day before or day of, something crazy. So we didn't have our first year defensive coordinator for our first game under the new coaching staff regime. So that was a harbinger of the whole, what to expect. That we knew we were in for a crazy ride in 2023.
Oh, yeah.
when that
So
happened.
listen, if it's one thing is to expect the unexpected with the first game. 2 years ago, I think we had a COVID scare that may have derailed who was supposed to be the starting quarterback. So things happen unexpected. We'll say one thing tonight. We'll get to the game tomorrow. Something totally different happens. So that's what makes it football, right? That's what makes it fun.
Yeah. So Conor, before we let you go, tell us a little bit about this Deacons Illustrated, this whole platform you guys have, because I was checking you out last couple of days online, and when I say you guys cover it all, I mean recruiting, every sport at Wake Forest. How did you get involved with them, and just tell me a little bit of how that whole process works?
Yeah, so I started with Deacons Illustrated and Devils Illustrated is the Duke site about 3 years ago exactly.
Okay.
And so I worked at the Winston-Salem Journal from 2017 to 2020. I got laid off a week into the football season in 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I thought I was safe when I got into football season. I covered Wake losing the opener to Clemson and then axed.
Yeah. The Turk came.
So I was kind of on my own for. Yeah, I was on my own for a year, just kind of doing a Substack and trying to make things work. And then Rivals approached me about running the Wake site, and I obviously had plenty of experience with Wake and had some connections there, and so it was a pretty easy decision. And then the way it worked was the Wake site was making such little money because it had such a little subscriber base that I wound up taking on Duke also. So running both sites is kind of tough sometimes, but try to cover as many bases as I can and then make up for it in other ways.
And you're pretty prolific because you're like publishing like how many articles a day? How many bylines do you put out pretty much every day?
I try to get at least one fresh story on each site per day. So 2 per day total.
Well, that's kind of like Blue F Valley. We try to publish. Well, we're different. You publish every day. We publish like every May. So we put like a new story up like once a year. But we still have the message board. We got Craig, and we have to, but we're kind of slack. But yeah, so go ahead. Every day, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, and trying to do more with recruiting, but it's tough, and I don't want to bring in somebody and pay them like $5 a story. Like I want to make it worth their while when I hire somebody to help me. So looking to still build subscriber bases and get to the point where I can bring somebody on to help me with recruiting. But for now, just trying to make it work between wakeforest.rivals.com and then duke.rivals.com.
Okay, so guys, if you guys, want to find out what Wake Forest is doing after this game, you might see something tomorrow night and some players and maybe played locally in high school or something. You want to keep track of that Demon Deacons program, definitely check out Deacons Illustrated. And Conor is the expert. He knows the ins and outs, and he's going to tell you so much about recruiting and just from a true insider. And I think the subscription fee is not that bad, right? It's not going to hit your pockets that bad to become a subscriber, right?
No, it's less than a cookout tray. It's less than a cookout tray if you get a shake. It's like $9 a month, I think. $99 for the year. Okay.
Because every time I go to cookout, I got to pay for my wife and my kids. So it's like, I'm donating blood just to get enough money to get there. So when you say that, you got to kind of put it in perspective. But yeah, but definitely, I think people can do the $9.99 and they get all this information. So are you going to be in the press box tomorrow? Are you going to be on the sideline? How do you normally watch the game?
I'll be in the press box.
Okay. Good deal. All right, so it's going to be on what's called ACC Extra. I guess it's not the ACC network on TV, but I guess you can stream it or something. You'll find
it's streaming.
It's streaming. Okay.
Yep.
7:00 at the what's the name of the stadium? I can't pronounce this.
Truist, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It was Truist. It's now a Legacy.
A Legacy Credit Union.
There it is.
A Legacy Credit Union Stadium.
Keep up, man.
Right.
It's like the 4th or 5th different name for the place. I think Wake fans like it when I just say that it's the stadium that used to be called Grove Stadium.
That's what I like. That's what I remember.
Always Grove.
That's what I remember.
I think that's where Doug would have played. So
it is. Gross.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, you remember now this is, and I'm gonna say that's gonna. I don't predict this is gonna happen tomorrow. That's gonna be it might not be a big moment, but that might be numerous, but at least be one moment where the tide can turn for A&T's favor, because 20 years ago on the first drive of the game, Wake Forest is driving, and one of our cornerbacks read the route perfectly, broke on the pass, and had a chance for a pick six. A&T is about to go up 6-7-0 on the first drive, defensive play of the series of the game, hit him right in the chest and bounced off. Next thing you know, we losing like 45-3. But Doug, you remember that game? You remember that play?
Dude, I do.
Who was that?
I'm not. Now you know I'm not going.
Come on
I'm
now.
not going. No, I can't do that. I'm not going to call my teammate out.
Hey, well, like I say, if A&T gets that opportunity tomorrow, they got to take advantage of it. If it hits you in the shoulder pass, you got to catch it, right? So I think Wake Forest, they're gonna. I think the longer the game goes on, I think that those 85 scholarships and some of that NIL money is going to start to have an effect. I think we might have a puncher's chance in the beginning. So if we're gonna land some blows, it needs to be early, and then we need to kind of maybe get kind of maybe a 7-point, 10-point lead and kind of hold on. But it's gonna be interesting anyway. You never can predict how these things go, but I definitely can predict that we're going to keep following Conor O'Neill on Twitter and Deacons Illustrated. And thank you so much for coming on our site for a short notice and giving this great perspective on tomorrow night's game.
Man, my pleasure. This has been great. I've loved it.
No problem. Like I say, we're a bunch of guys who just love. We're passionate about A&T football, and we're passionate about this season. So maybe tomorrow I'll see you at the stadium. But until next time, thank you so much, sir.
If you see me hanging out, just holler at me.
I think you broke up. All right, thanks, Conor.
Appreciate it.
My man Conor O'Neill. That's a cool guy. I like that guy, man.
I meant to ask him about the tailgate situation, man. I mean, I gotta go to Lawrence Joel block $20. I think that's the stuff I need to know, man. Trying to get over there.
Yeah, we'll have to figure it out, man. Aggie's gonna always do some common sense, and we'll understand the lay of the land before the game time, and hopefully somebody can go online and see what they say about parking and put that in the chat, so we have it figured out by the end of the show. But so that was Conor O'Neill with Deacons Illustrated. Craig, Doug, you guys got a better idea of what we facing tomorrow night now?
Yeah, pretty much what I anticipated.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a Wake Forest football team. They do a lot of nice little things with their passing game. It's going to be interesting to see. They've got quarterback questions. We got some questions to be answered in that regard. They've got a experienced front four. We have an experienced back end. So I think it's like you said. You don't know what you're going to get. I think the biggest thing for A&T is going to be to weather that first half.
Yeah.
Usually, when you have a game that gets out of hand, it gets out of hand early, and it gets out of hand because of mistakes and turnovers. Those are two things, and usually with mistakes as far as missed assignments or missed tackles on defense, and obviously turning the ball over on offense. That's what's going to, or mistakes in the kicking game. That's what really breaks those FCS games wide open. From what I've seen over college football over the last 4 or 5 years, if you've got a team that can stay away from making those errors early on and can weather that storm, you can play with folks. You can play with folks, but the biggest thing is that first 10 to 12 minutes of the game, because if it's going to be a blowout, that's usually where it's going to happen.
Yeah. So
go ahead,
Doug.
I'm with Craig, but we definitely got to be solid in the second half too. Like anytime you're playing that first game, you got to be concerned with conditioning. Lord Jesus, did you see the Norfolk State boys out there throwing up so much that it affected the coach's decision at the end of the game. If he even commented and say he didn't know if his guys had enough gas in the tank.
I mean, okay, look.
Too many morning practices. Too many morning practices when it's cool. That's what that came from.
At the press conference this week, in last episode of Inside the Valley, Kate Molador and Coach Brown both gave special shout outs to our new sports nutritionist, right? That we hired this off season, and she's a young lady who's responsible for putting together the meal plans and the we call it refueling stations. So that was, I think what we saw in that Norfolk State game was a byproduct of them not taking care of that, because those guys did not look ready, like they were stored up with their nutrients to play that football game. Anytime you lose, multiple players are losing their lunch right in the first quarter. That's a bad sign. That's
the guy was 6'4", 350. Something's coming up. Yeah, and, those guys had depth. They played 3 running backs, and the first kid had the long run, and I think they just got a little gassed and got a little excited up. Yeah. But somewhere around 14-0, when they struggled to kind of put it away or put it in the box again,
they hit a wall. Man.
You could see FAMU, and I started looking at condition, and I was like, well, who's a better conditioned team? Yeah. Well, I'll take those boys from Florida that have been down there in that heat, and they just didn't have enough in the tank at the end. But we'll see. I'm looking for a game somewhere in between the East Carolina game, who also struggled at quarterback position. They were trying to get settled in at quarterback, and obviously we had a much different team, veteran team that was accustomed to winning big games. But ECU struggled at quarterback early on, and they had a young Colton Ayers, I think, that was a freshman that he was supposed to be the next guy up. But the 2 guys in front of them, they struggled, and we put the pressure on them, and the tides kind of turned and changed. Mac had the big pick in the end zone, and just like you said, a big play that changed the game. But also go back and look at that Duke game, and although we got blown out,
which one?
The brick handler game, as I like to call it, the game we couldn't catch a cold.
Oh yeah, that was a hands like feet game. But throwing the hooves.
That was one of those games we didn't win. But I like to say we showed well, right? There was moments in that game we played extremely well on defense. We ran the ball, controlled the clock, controlled the line of scrimmage, and then later in the game, which I think went on to propel us to have a better season. We had some success offensively. We kind of got in a groove. We were able to develop some chemistry that led to us being able to go on that 7-game win streak later on in the season. If I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yep, 7 games.
There's things you can. I know the score may look one way, or everybody says did you win or lose, but there are things you can gain from a game like this, even later on in the game, regardless of the score.
Well, one thing I feel confident about, as far as we want to look at the positives and give us some reason for optimism. We do have a new office coordinator this year, and in the UAB game, that's when my eyebrows first started to raise up. Last year, I was like, okay, I don't understand this, because maybe it's just me, but this, we're making it super hard on our young quarterbacks. When it's 3rd and short, and I see verticals from all our receivers, I'm like, this is a tough position to put Eli Brickhandler and young KJ White in. So it only exacerbated. That's not his word, but you know what I'm trying to say. It only got worse as the season went along, and I think my boiling point was the Elon game. So go back, if you guys got some free time, go back and watch our.
Go back. We're not going back. Tomorrow is a new season. We are throwing dirt. We're throwing dirt on last year, which I know we did already.
True enough.
I'm not even thinking about last year.
But I said all that to say, this is a new era. We did realize our mistakes, and we corrected it in off season. We brought in Dave Marsh, my namesake. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago. He's a solid guy. You can tell he's genuine. Former U.S. Marine. And he's from that air raid tree, but like you say, he is somebody who's able to morph his style, his scheme around whatever strengths he has at the time on his roster. And I think someone actually asked Coach Brown about his new office coordinator this week in the first press conference of the season. Let me play a little bit of video from his discussion about his new office coordinator.
A new offensive coordinator and David Marsh. For those that maybe don't know much about him yet, I mean, how would you describe maybe what this offense now looks like, both schematically and what it's looked like in terms of his leadership leading up to this game?
Yeah, so most of you, if you've looked at Coach Marsh's background, he comes from the air raid system of throwing the football around. But he's really been able to develop and implement offenses that can run the football very effectively. When he was at Campbell, they were in the top 10, 15 in the country and rushing offense. He's had top 15, 20 rushers in college football at the FCS level at Texas Southern. And I think what Coach Marsh has brought is creativity to our offense to feature the skill sets of our players. I said it a multitude of times last year that we had the talent. We didn't do a great job of utilizing the talent.
First of all, he didn't never say that, because I said that, and everybody was wanting to run me out of town on the rail. All right, I said that Chris Young wasn't getting the job done, and Craig, you got mad at me, and Doug was like, "Oh, you."
It was too early. It was too early. It was too early to make that. It was too, in my opinion, and I still stand by it. I think at that particular point in time, it was too early to make that call.
So Coach Brown said it's all right. When I say I'm crazy, I'm just being a thriller. So all right.
I think Coach Marsh has implemented a system that is very difficult to defend. We're not going to be predictable. We have the ability to create explosive plays in both the run and pass game. And so very, very excited about this season.
So that was Coach Brown Monday at the inside the A&T studio on the third floor. And I think that event is open to AAF members. So if you guys ever want to see Coach Brown talk in person about the previous week and the upcoming game, I guess reach out to Craig. You might know some information about how they could sign up and be, buy a ticket for that. Maybe Craig. I guess they'd go on somewhere.
And, yeah, if you're an AAF member, I think it's $10. $10. That includes your lunch, and you get to watch. You get to get there for the press conference, and also get to watch the coaches show, because that's taped at the same time right after lunch.
But the highlight is me and Coach Brown having like a little chess match, a mental back and forth, because I'm trying to dig for these questions and he's trying to play, I can't tell you that right now. I'll tell you tomorrow. Like, you'll tell me right now. You're gonna tell me today, Coach. But so most time he wins. So, but we'll fight another day.
He wins all the time. He wins all the time.
My man, Coach Brown. But he also talked about his signal callers. He talked about his quarterback room, and I asked him this question, and he talked about the guys we might see tomorrow night.
A number of highly contested position battles this whole season, especially at the quarterback position. Are you able to speak on who may have won that battle?
I can, but I won't. Not today. We'd like to keep our opponent in the dark as to who's going to start for us. But I said this earlier. I was on a media call, and we have three really talented quarterbacks.
1 second. Hey, Doug, you're supposed to be like the young, fit guy for the show, and if anything goes left, you're supposed to be the enforcer for the show, right? Doug, you got to get back in the weight room, because look at his arms. Like, if me and Coach Brown really got into it at a press conference, and I'd be like, hold on a second, let me call for backup. I don't know if me and you can take this dude, man. Like he's definitely advertising the gun show right now.
Look, I was just about to say, Coach Brown looked like he might have a few more snaps in him, man. I mean, he's definitely game time ready, man. So that's a good sign. That means he's putting in the work, right?
And plus, he's like doing what you do at homecoming. He's not wearing the shirt that fits. He's wearing the size medium, right, to really accentuate the guns. And I mean, this guy's probably, how old is Coach Brown now? About in 60 something? Is he in his 60s?
No, he's late 50s.
Late 50s, okay. Well, he's good, man. Got a tight fade too. You gotta give props to the barber, whoever the barber is. Hey. They got their nice little blend. Look.
Got him with the blade brown, baby. That's what I'm talking about, Coach. Coach is ready.
I want my, and I kind
Class
of
personified. I like it.
But listen, I want my coach to look like that. When we
That's
go
right.
into an FBS game, you know, I want my coach to look like he can, you know, fill in at 3 technique and help somebody out, you know. So real strong.
Looking good, coach.
Let me play it.
All season, especially at the quarterback position. Are you able to speak on who may have won that battle?
I can, but I won't. Not today. We'd like to keep our opponent in the dark as to who's going to start for us. But I said this earlier. I was on a media call, and we have 3 really talented quarterbacks now. Kevin White obviously played as a true freshman, showed some dynamic ability to run the football. He's really matured as a passer. He's very comfortable with our offense right now, new offense. We brought in Justin Fumby, a transfer student that's played a lot of football, who's got great knowledge of the game, has brought tremendous leadership to our team and not just our offense. And then we signed Braxton Thomas, a freshman quarterback out of Florida, who kind of combines the best of both Kevin and Justin. He's a really talented runner, extremely smart young man, and really.
And I was telling you guys that somebody we were talking about this on the fan forum, and I was giving like a practice report. Like this number, I think he wears 17 in practice. This true freshman does not look like a freshman. I mean, he's sharp. He makes quick reads, quick decision. And like I said, he's a kind of a mix of both. Well, he's not as fast. I don't care what you say. He's not even close as fast as KJ, but he can scramble for, you know, if he gets out the pocket. And he don't have the rocket launcher like Fomby, but he can make, you know, pretty much every quote unquote every college throw, you know, big time throw. So he's gonna be somebody to really watch. I think he'll get into some games this year too.
Accurate touch passer, and so, you know, we feel really good about that room. We expect both quarterbacks to play.
So it's weird. He said he named 3 quarterbacks, but he said we expect both quarterbacks to play. So I don't know if they be going to just plan on red shirt and Braxton Thomas. And also, Craig, what happened to Noah Sanders? Because he was in the mix early on in camp, and he looked pretty good in one of the scrimmages I went to. So I'm not sure if Noah Sanders, who is a sophomore listed classification, maybe they're going to just kind of keep developing him for the future. But he said 2, so I'm assuming Fomby and KJ White.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago. Take what coaches tell you about personnel with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because what they tell you, what they tell you on Monday ain't exactly what you see on Saturday, or in this case Thursday. So, you know, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in that. We got 4 guys that can play. We got 4 scholarship quarterbacks that can play. So we'll see what develops come Thursday night.
And we'll wait and see until kickoff who's going to be named the starter.
Well, basically what he said. So we're kind of speaking the same thing verbatim. So we talked about the keys of victory. Have we talked about the defensive line yet? Do we feel like we got a lot better, a lot bigger, a lot stronger on that defensive line this year? Because I know I looked at your preview this morning, Craig, and you felt pretty bullish on that line. You felt like we got some dudes now, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've addressed the size issue. The biggest thing about the defensive line is that they're going to be young. They're going to be young. They're going to be young in a depth department. But I think that the kids that are going to start tomorrow night are going to be more than adequate to hold their own. I'm really looking forward to seeing Dingle Prince, DeAndre Dingle Prince,
Me too.
at playing at the defensive. Well, they got him listed as a defensive end in that 3-4 alignment. I just, you know, I watched a lot of Appalachian State football, and that guy can play, man. That guy can flat play. 6'1", 280. He can run. Strong. He's a terror. He's what I call a disruptor. I think that's a term I used in the article. He just creates havoc with the play. He just upsets the timing in backfield. He gets penetration. He can play nose guard. He can play tackle. He can play defensive end. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't line him up in several different spots tomorrow night and really get after it with him in there. So I think Chris Allen and Kelvin Broadhurst, couple of guys that played as redshirt freshmen last year, learn trial by fire. Chris Abraham, same thing. Those three guys are going to be are coming back. They're going to be crucial tomorrow night. And I look for big things from them. They all put on weight and put on good weight. They put on muscle weight, not belly weight, muscle weight. There is a difference.
I know.
It's one thing to be 275 and fit and 300 pounds and sloppy. So, so I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. Like I said, we're a young team, but we're not we're an experienced team because so many kids play.
And so does that translate into the buzzword quality depth? Because like I say, it's gonna probably warm tomorrow night. It was about 9 degrees today.
It's gonna be hot tomorrow night.
Hey, 7 p.m. Friday, 95.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of rotation. You're gonna see a lot of rotation. I expect Chris Kingsley and those and a few more of those freshmen are gonna get some playing time in there. You're gonna have to play them. You can't play in that type of heat in that type of environment without substitution. So, but I feel good about it. One reason why I feel better about the defensive line is the linebacker core. I got a lot of faith in our linebacker core this year. I really like what we got in linebacker.
Yeah.
And what we got in that secondary, especially at the corners. Looking forward to seeing Maddox play, the transfer coming in playing. I'm really looking forward to him because watching his film and catching, he's a guy that can plays sideline to sideline. He's coming every play. He's leaving it out there. So I'm really interested to see what these new components are going to do for us defensively because I think we're going to be a pretty good defensive football team this year.
Hey, Craig, dare I say the kid has a little bit of Antoine Wilder in his game? He comes downhill a little bit.
Now listen. We can't throw around the headless horseman name lightly now.
Dare I say?
If you gonna put that on him, you got to give me a Jamaican air horn.
First one of the season.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, anything can happen. But no, I'm like Craig. I'm excited to see him play, man. He's one of those guys you turn on his film, and he is sideline to sideline. He doesn't mind coming up, put that wood on the guys. I'm not a pause guy, but that's pretty cool. Anyway, he's a guy that I'm looking forward to seeing play, man. Just like Craig said, D line up front. We got some young guys. Got some new faces in the mix, so expect those guys to play. Shut the front door defense, okay?
Said we about to play some shut the front
door. I heard that one in a minute, but hey, I know about that.
That's some defense right there. We got to lock things up, man. But
and expect some of those guys like DeAndre that had all the experience at App when they went in and beat Texas A&M when they were a top-ranked team. You lean on some of that guys. Experience, right? He wasn't necessarily in the trenches with the Aggies, but that's the guy we expect him to go out there and lead by example. And hey, guys, follow me and play at this level. We talked about how BJ came in last year and played at another level from night one, right? Yeah. And we were looking for some of those guys to play on his level.
But that's what I'm saying. BJ, his play was so infectious. He made Kate Molitor and Joshua Isaiah step up. Like I don't think they would be at the level they are now if not for BJ showing them this is how we do things at the top level, right? So now those guys are the incumbents. I hope they can show these other guys that we have a standard and we're going to maintain it. And it is what it is. So
yeah.
I feel good about the leadership, the culture. I will say this, not to throw shade at anybody else or previous regime, but I just think if you go by practice, if you talk to these players, and I got a chance to talk to my man Justin Fonby and Big Thomas Brown, the new wide receiver transfer from Butler. He looks the part too. I'm not sure where he is on the depth chart, but if he gets in the game, I'm expecting big things from him. But I talked to Thomas Brown, and I talked to Justin Fonby at the Fan Fest Saturday, and those guys are impressive, man. And you can look at them. There is no trepidation. There's no fear. Like they understand what the magnitude of this game is and the challenge is presented, and they don't care. They're going to play A&T football. They're going to execute their process. Justin Fonby is the guy you want. Even if he's not the starting quarterback, there's some surprise and he's not the starting quarterback on Thursday tomorrow night. Just having him in the locker room, having him around, he's kind of like, he's not kind of silly like Jameis Winston, but he's kind of guy is going to be a source of positive energy. There's always, this, Doug. There's always guys in the locker room that can go either way. Some guys are positive, and some guys are black holes. They just suck all the energy out, and you like, man, I get away from him.
Our coach used to call him a cancer. That guy's a cancer. You got to keep that cancer out of there.
Right.
Get him off the team. Coach Lee.
Well, the Justin Fonby is the opposite of that. He's somebody who's going to radiate just leadership, maturity, positive energy. So having him just on the sideline, on the roster is going to be a benefit for us. But look, we getting late in the show. I really didn't want to do this, but we got to open it up to our fans. We got a couple returnees. First of all, let me bring in my man 94. It's about to be a Kappa conclave, it looks like tonight. 94.
Yo.
What's going on? Yeah, he's one of the noobs.
Yes, sir.
Let me go ahead and do a 2-for-1 since
Yes, sir.
both these guys are oldie but goodies. Let me bring in A&T Roy. Hey, A&T Roy.
Hey, wait. Can you hear me?
Watch this way. If I hear the echo, you out of here. All right,
you can hear me, right?
Yeah, you good.
All right, hang on just a second.
Good. I'll tell you. He got the shiesty. Understand that Troy is the big old age. How old are you? About 52 now, Troy?
About to be 59.
Oh, good Lord. And he has the maturity of probably an 8th grader in most days. So
hey,
listen.
Shout out to Troy with the classic Aggie Mania shirt on. I like it, Troy. Shout out Aggie Mania.
You go, hey, listen, y'all know Deadpool, right? You know Deadpool?
Yeah, we've seen the movie.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm a cool version of Deadpool. That's why I'm cool, Troy Poole.
And that's what I'm talking about. And that's the maturity I'm talking about, Craig. That's exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so let's just go ahead and start with 94. 94, man. This is the first game of the season. We go about to make that quick 30-minute drive down I-40. Are you gonna be in the house, or you got school tomorrow, right?
We got school tomorrow, so I won't be making that, but I will obviously be watching via ESPN.
Hey, man, you left Roseville at the wrong time. There's no one team in the state now.
I was never at Roseville.
I thought you was at Roseville. You was the principal at Roseville. Leesville. Okay. Who was at Roseville? That must be somebody else. All right. I'm thinking of them. But okay, so you had Cardinals.
Interestingly enough, though, the head coach was at Leesville when I was there, and he got his first head coaching job at Roseville. So that's what we do.
That's a connection. I got you. All right. So, but this is high school football. I know you guys probably got a bunch of stuff JV tomorrow night. So you can't make the trip to Winston, but you're gonna be watching the game probably either on your phone, replay or whatever. Give me your gut feeling about. We'll do the predictions later, but what is something that absolutely has to happen for us to have a snowball's chance in hell to win this game?
We've talked a lot about the quarterbacks, but I mean, doesn't matter how well the quarterback throws the football if the receivers aren't catching. We've got to have our receivers, make some plays tomorrow night, because I do think some opportunities are going to be there. And whoever lines up on the center tomorrow night, I think we'll be in a good position. But our receivers need to make some plays.
So look here, Troy, I'm gonna throw it to you. Our depth chart came out Monday at the press conference. Starting wide receiver, this is crazy. Starting wide receiver, I'm not sure if this is the X or the Z, but obviously at the X is Caldwell, but behind him is Rory Jones, Amen Hotep. Okay, Amen Hotep. All right, and then the other wide receiver on the other side, we got Monte Jones, of course, and Laquan Verne. And then this must be the Z. We got number 5. We got Javon Dillard, a redshirt freshman, and my man Thomas Brown, redshirt junior. So, do we know anything about Dillard or Brown? Have we Brown's new, obviously. Do we know anything about Javon Dillard, Troy?
Hey man, how about, interestingly enough,
okay,
one of my fraternity brothers,
yeah,
the great Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, was his high school coach.
Oh, really?
Yep. And before he committed to us, he contacted me on Messenger and told me he was going to be committing, and said that Javon is one heck of a football player.
All right. Troy, this might be the best contribution you made to our show ever since you put those dogs out the room that one time. When you kicked those dogs out, that was like, this is the number one thing that tops that. So that was
I was pleasantly surprised to see him in first position on the other wide receiver position.
That's pretty good. Okay. So
he's out of Georgia, 6'2", 200 plus, athletic kid. If you go back and watch his highlight tape, he's got some, I've been throwing names out there, but he gives the physicality of some E-Bell, probably one of our better high point catchers of the football. And you heard Coach Brown speak about how he values that ability to go up and catch the ball and high point football. I was surprised to see him on where he was placed on the depth chart. I know he was a guy that kind of got, I won't say lost in the shuffle, but he's one of those guys where we looked at his film and was like, hey, I like this guy. Big athletic kids and still running away from people on his film. But just kind of, when you're not in the mix your first year, we tend to not forget about you, but you kind of get lost on the depth chart. So the beautiful thing about camp and spring is that you get a chance to go out there and earn and prove your spot. And so he must have did something right somewhere in the last couple of weeks during camp. Probably has tremendous ability and the availability, which we talked about that being healthy. But the kid looks like a specimen, man. He's one I'm probably most excited to see what he's going to do on offense if he's truly out there, going out there running with the ones, especially because he's listed as wearing the 5.
You wear the 5,
so
on it. Yeah, I know.
Man, I need some of that gear, man. I need a little 5 t-shirt or something. I'm gonna be out there representing you, So he's I'm excited about him though, man. He fits the mold. He fits the recruiting profile that Coach Brown has kind of set in place, man. Big athletic kid. So excited for him to get the opportunity.
Hey, he's I'll tell you the receiver I think I missed the most is E-Bell the GOAT. I mean, man, he was just from his freshman year, man. He was a beast.
Oh, hey, Troy, what about hearing about Zach Leslie is now assistant coach over at Winston State?
He catching that L next week.
Oh man, so Zach Leslie, one of the the senior officers in jump ball U, he's gonna be on the other side next week, but we still love
So I was at FanFest Saturday and I spoke to a whole bunch of players. Can I talk about a couple of them?
Next year we're gonna put a microphone in your hand so you can record some of these conversations and then you can show them on the show the next week. We're gonna make you a correspondent. Go ahead, give us an update now.
You got to pay me, but
hey,
so a couple conversations. I talked to Cortez Lane. He's a wide receiver out of South Carolina,
Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, and he's the one that I pointed out, and I said, man, I think this kid might play as a freshman. Well, he's going to be our primary kick returner. and he said he believes he's going to be in the rotation at wide receiver. He said he put on some weight. Matter of fact, somebody walked by that knew him. He was like, "Man, I almost didn't recognize you, man. You put on some muscle,
Right.
looking a lot different."
Is this the kid they said that has some jets?
Yes.
Okay.
He can fly.
Yeah, he got some jets. And I'll highlight the other one. I spoke to Justin Fommy, and
he's a sharp guy. Huh?
Yeah, he called me. I was looking up at that guy.
That's what I'm saying. He's sharp though. He's a sharp guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we had a pretty long conversation, and one of the things I said, man, you haven't played actual much in 2 years, and he's like, yeah, it's been a little bit. And I said, you ready to get hit? He was like, oh yeah. I put on some muscle. I probably put on 10 pounds. Wow. So he's a bit bigger than what he was when he came to A&T. But what I said to him was, well, good thing is you don't have to put the game on your back. We got a running back.
I told him that too. I told him the same thing.
Yeah, his eyes lit up. He was like, oh, you are, man, let me tell you something. They're talking about those top 3. Man, we got more than that. And so I was like, yeah. So man, I think we're going to have a good balanced offense. So those are the couple conversations that I had on Saturday.
Good job, Troy. We're going to change your name to Coach Troy Poole instead of Cool Troy Poole.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty impressive. You're doing some good work there.
Hey, man, I've been a coach in many levels: high school, middle school, grown men, all kind of stuff.
Career coaching record.
I'm a champion. I'm a championship coach. Just
sub 500. I promise you, it's sub 500. You don't have a winning record at the Y, at Little League, nothing. I don't believe.
Hey, man, you don't know about me, baby.
Yeah, all right. 94. What you got, man? So, hey, look, let me ask you this, 94, because somebody had a good question right here. Let me throw it to Mr. Jay Hunter. He said, who do y'all expect what do you expect out of the DEs? Are we gonna get a couple of sacks? So do you think we have enough edge rushers to put some pressure on those Wake Forest quarterbacks who it don't seem like when you don't announce who the starting quarterback is going to be, and you're an FBS program, you're not like us, where you had the worst offense in the country and you still got a lot of moving pieces, but they should have some things established. So I'm not sure they're like somebody's really stood out, and won the job. So there's going to be some uncertainty. Can we put some pressure on some of that uncertainty tomorrow night? You feel pretty good about our defensive ends?
Defensive ends are not the problem. Everything starts in that middle. I mean, if we can get some push in the middle, then we'll be fine. I think we'll do some damage, but everything begins and ends in that interior. That's what my focus is going to be. That's what I'm going to be watching tomorrow night.
Yeah, and at the defensive interior, I'm looking at it right now, and what we got going on? Nose guard, Kelvin Broadhurst Jr., number 93 is listed at the top of the nose guard, and behind him is Christopher Abraham. Still, and I know, listen, guys, I know that we are bigger, stronger, more, got the nutrition. I just don't know if we're FBS strong. Yeah, I think that's going to be an issue at the point of contact still tomorrow. That I just feel like we're gonna have to find some way to scheme around that.
So let's
address some of that. Go ahead, Nafo. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I mean, but
yeah.
It is what it is tomorrow night. I mean, we're looking just to put up a good performance, and if we shock the world, that's even better. I'm looking at our third game of the season, and that's with Delaware, to see where we really stack up and what we have done. Tomorrow night is really about just seeing some of the things that we've worked on and getting ourselves some reps and really and truly seeing what we have. So if we perform great tomorrow night, hey, I'm all good for it. I'm just trying to see some progress.
Well, you heard Kay Molador come on. I think in terms of what we're doing up front, I don't know that our concept is to necessarily collapse the pocket with like brute force and dominate the run in that instance. I mean, there's some things you can do when you're a bit undersized. You can slant, you can stunt, but more so than anything, Kay talked about maintaining great gap distance,
gap control,
right? Being able to be where you're supposed to be and allowing your teammate to be in position to make his play. Right, you play hero ball and you try to win it by yourself. Sometimes you can get out of position. And I think that happened to us a time last year where we either got washed down the line or pushed out of the way, and it made it tough. And it may even expose what you have going on in the back end, whether your linebackers or secondary, and they're having to come up and make some big plays. But I think you saw it at its best when BJ was able to shoot the gap, make some plays. You know, I think that's what our defense is supposed to look like. Being that we just aren't just so dominant up front, we're just going to knock you off the ball, any opponent we play. But there may be some guys that we are able to dominate, but it's up to the coaching staff to put us in the best position to negate what they're trying to do on offense. And when you have a team that is not necessarily running just a true RPO, but like that slow mesh that they're talking about, man, it's tough on your discipline, right? You can be in position, and that quarterback, it pulls the ball at the very last moment. I mean, sometimes the ball is still in the running back's gut, and he yanks it back and throws it right behind you. So there'll be some plays like that when we don't make the play. I mean, we'd like to make them all, but that's what that offense is designed to do, to slow you down and to keep you from just putting your ears back and coming and making all that, trying to develop a lot of pressure. So can we maintain that line of scrimmage and that gap integrity and be disciplined with our eyes like Kay was talking about? And then can we tackle and make plays at all three levels? Because they're going to make some plays. They're athletic. They get NIL money too, right? they get paid to make some plays. So
right.
We got to tackle well. We got to be fundamentally sound, and you can't give up big plays on defense. So we got to make some big plays on offense, and especially.
All right, real quick, guys. We can go around the horn. We're going to probably go around the horn twice. First, we're going to do this, then we're going to do the final score. But first, on this one, last week, Doug presented his preseason watch list for his Doug Dues Awards and named a couple guys he felt, going to be some solid contributors this year. Guys, look out for. For this game tomorrow night, let's just imagine the best thing, glass half full. We find a way to win. Everybody's celebrating this time tomorrow. What player, name a player who had to have a breakout performance tomorrow to make that vision reality? Who you think that is going to be somebody who, if everything goes well, is going to put his name in Aggie lore forever? Start with you, Craig. Who's somebody's going to be a major contributor tomorrow?
Oh, your guess is as good as mine. It's a new team. It's a new team with so many different new pieces to it. Well, obviously, if I'm
one guy, who you think
I would probably say got one guy.
Yeah.
I would say probably whoever starts at quarterback.
Okay.
It's got to play. Got to keep a cool head and just not mess it up. Take advantage of opportunities when you get it, and play under control and keep that team, keep that offense going. I think either Fomby or White, and my guess is it's probably going to be mostly Fomby tomorrow night. Just play within themselves and not try to play hero. I think if we do that, I think we'll be okay.
All right, what about you, Doug? Give me somebody who's going to shock the world tomorrow.
Well, my first answer would be I would go with Craig with QB1, whoever that is, come out and play great. But if there were two guys that I was rooting for to have a great game on offense, I'd have to go with I know the Gravedigger's going to do his thing, but on offense, I'd have to go with Kenji Christian in his return to the ACC. Right?
Oh yeah.
A chance to return to that stage and be productive. Wouldn't it be nice if Kenji Christian had a breakout game where he rushed for over 150 yards, 2 touchdowns? And his return to the ACC. I mean, that's just a shot in the dark. And on defense, man, my man, he showed us a bit of loyalty here in the offseason. He has the pedigree. This is his big stage. He comes from the big stage. My guy, Karan Prunty. I'd love for him to perform well and really put some more film on tape, to further his chances of hopefully playing on Sundays one day. So those are the two guys I'd love to see have big games.
94, who you got?
I'm going to have to go with two guys as well. Starting with defense, I agree with my favorite Newt, Karan Prunty. I mean, they're going to take some shots at him, and he's going to, have to step up. If we're able to keep the game close, and if we have a puncher's chance, the second guy on offense, special teams, Money Brown.
Oh, all right. There you go. Good. That's a good one. All right. Cool, Troy Poole.
Ooh, Troy Poole. I hope you know they're gonna switch that around on you.
Cool, Troy Poole.
So I'm gonna pick one guy, but I want to tell you a quick story about.
But hurry up, man. Let's go.
All right, so let me tell you the story first, and then I'll
right.
give you my pick.
All right.
So I saw Kenji Christian leaving from FanFest, and so I stopped him, and I told him that I think last week you all said he looks like Eric Dickerson. Right?
I said that. Yeah.
Yes. So I was like, yeah, man. They're saying you looking like Eric Dickerson in practice, and he looked at me with a puzzled look on his face. And I was like,
who's Eric Dickerson? I'm 22 years old, man. I don't know Eric the Pony Express.
Yeah, I almost passed out. I was like, you don't know who Eric Dickerson is? He's like, no. So I told him, remember his name and look him up, man. You're gonna be impressed. So hopefully he will. He's looked him up and he's saying, oh yeah, I know what he's talking about. Okay, so here's what I think is needs to have a breakout game, and I think that's Cade Molado. So in the middle of this defense against that slow mesh, man, he got to be careful not to go up in there too quick because they'll drop the ball right behind him. So I think he's got to have a lot of patience, but once he sees the ball handed off, he's got to hit those holes. So I'm going with Cade.
Hey, Billy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Hey, so welcome to the show. You came at the last, 11th hour, so we're gonna get you the rotation. Tell me who you got. Who's gonna be a breakout star tomorrow night? If everything goes well.
Well, to me, that depends on who plays. But I say if KJ plays, he might be the breakout.
KJ, on wheels. They don't know.
Yeah.
There's nobody who can prepare for that speed that they're gonna get the quarterback position. I was trying to tell my man Conor, like, watch out. If y'all over pursue and he get out the pocket,
he's gone.
He might be
he's gone. Yeah.
KJ White. So let me put you on mute back because you got some background noise, but you stay there. But my breakout guy, I got two. One on defense, one on offense. Defense, a guy by the name of, what is his name? Cameron Maddox. Cam Maddox. Is that Maddox? Yeah, Maddox from was that Dartmouth? Yo, he's been balling. His stock has gone straight to the roof. Like the last couple of days in practice and this fall camp, he's listed as a starter. So I know that what I saw when I came to the scrimmage is only, he's been building on it. He made probably the play of camp. He made a one-handed interception on a fade ball, jump ball in the end zone, and all 25 people in the stadium went crazy. So he's a guy. I'm predicting, Doug. I'm predicting that we're gonna score a touchdown tomorrow on defense. I believe he's going to either pick up a fumble and return it, or just jump that receiver in the slot and return a pick six. So Cam Maddox will get in the box on defense. And my offensive guy, who I'm predicting to just go crazy, surprised a lot of y'all, Mr. Hands Like Feet himself. I said last year, I said he didn't have hands, he had hooves. But number one, Jakari Caldwell, he's going to have a breakout performance. He's going to live up to the hype. He's going to silence the critics. And we saw it at the end of the last season in the Campbell game. He went crazy. He had a catch radius of 20 feet. He was catching everything that Baby Hook was throwing at him. I think he's going to continue that, and he's going to have a great game tomorrow. He's going to mark somebody in the end zone. He's going to score a spectacular ESPN worthy touchdown tomorrow. But look, it's been an hour and 30 minutes. We got to get out of here. So real quick, we're going to go around the horn one more time. Let's go ahead and give some final score predictions before we get out of here. We're going to start with BJ. We're going to go counterclockwise. So BJ, give me a score prediction for tomorrow.
Ooh, man, that's going to be tough. I'm going to give us a little bit of an edge here. 20-28.
20-28. So you 21-28?
Yeah. I'll say 28-21. I give us an edge by touchdown.
So we're going to win 28-21.
That's I'm being optimistic here. I'm going to be optimistic.
I hear you. What you got, cool Troy Poole? What you got, man?
Man, listen, I hate doing this because listen, we shouldn't beat an FBS team.
All right.
And so
let's say we lose. So give us a losing score then. All right.
Yeah. So listen. I don't want our players to think I don't think highly of them because I do.
Right.
I'm very optimistic about this team, but FBS team in their place.
Yeah.
I'm going Wake 24-21, hoping we can get this upset no matter what I just said.
Perfect. All right. What you got, Newt?
I'm along the lines with Troy, but I'm not as optimistic as Billy and Troy in terms of what the final score is going to be. Because we are playing the FBS team. 42-17.
42-17. Well, at least we get in the end zone a couple times. What about you, Fresh?
First off, the Aggies will cover. I mean, let's
we're down 35 points, man.
Well, I'm not appreciative of that spread, but we're gonna cover. And not only that, we're gonna shock not only the world, but we're gonna shock the Deacons on the foot of Money Brown. Aggies 27, Deeks 24. On a game winner.
24. Okay. All right. What about you, CT?
Last time, I don't. I picked A&T. I picked A&T only a couple times against FBS teams, and both times we won. I've got to go. I've got to go with Wake at home. First game of the season. There's so many variables for us. Unless Wake makes some dramatic errors, I like us playing this game tight. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I think Wake in the end probably wins out. And I just put my column up, and I called it Wake Forest 31-20. But it's going to be much closer than that. This game won't be decided until about the last 5 or 6 minutes into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I believe that those 85 scholarships going to start eventually.
Yeah.
On this. It's just too. I mean,
we're not quite there yet.
Not yet.
We're not quite there yet.
We were 1-10, and I think this coaching staff has done great yeoman's work of trying to plug in holes and and fill in gaps and move things around. And then you got a little bit of just some trickeration. You got Coach Marsh who's probably going to be scheming, himself crazy trying to take advantage of some mismatches. And Coach Jay-Z, he got that Frankenstein monster defense, so I'm sure he's at the lab still making some concoctions that he's going to present tomorrow. So I think we're gonna come out. I want to see this, and like Coach Brown said in the press conference, I want to see that the stuff that we work on shows up on the field.
Yeah.
And I want us to play. I want us to have a process that we adhere to, and I want us to stick to it no matter what the external factors are. If we go down by 14 points, I want us to still play smart, disciplined football. So I think I kind of see this outcome similar to Duke. I think that first quarter is going to be like back and forth, and like we might even have a 3-point lead at the end of the first quarter, going to the second quarter, and I think maybe 5 minutes before halftime, it's a 1-score game. But I think just the ball, too many things have to bounce perfectly for us to overcome some of the issues that Wake Forest presents. So I don't think we're going to win. I think it probably won't. I think it will probably be a 3-score game at the end of the game, but I think the final score will not show the true competitive nature of our team. So but let's say 31 to 14. Let's say 31-14. But it'll be a lot closer than what that score looks like. So we got to get out here because I want to stay true to our 90-minute time thing. But Craig, I know I'm giving you the last word, and everybody go to the website, go to A&T Fan Forum. If you want to continue this discussion, about the game. We're gonna be talking about it on the message board, A&T Fan Forum, BlueDeathValley.com. Please hit that red subscription button. Please subscribe to the show. We got to get more subscribers. You can check out the online store. We got a lot of gear. You can buy some cool merch you can wear, to the game. It might be in time. If you buy it online, you probably get it before next game, so you can have some cool stuff for the Winston-Salem State game. Cool merchandise. Also, we got to support that Hall of Fame golf tournament. I'm gonna give it to you, Troy. We got to support that Hall of Fame golf tournament that Macy Bowling told us about. There's a link to the tournament on the BlueDeathValley.com homepage. It's only you get a whole sponsorship for about $100. It goes for a great cause. Troy, what you got real quick?
Lady Aggies volleyball tomorrow, 6 p.m. Corbett Sports Center against the school down the road. Oh, that's gonna be good. They play 2 games in a row, right?
They play them Saturday in their spot at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Gotcha. The match tomorrow you can see on Flow Sports.
Gotcha.
Also Friday at 6 p.m. and then Saturday at 6 p.m. down the road. Also on Friday, cross country starts over in Duke at Duke. I can't remember the name of the invitational, but they'll be over there on Friday.
Good deal. A good deal. All right, Craig, take us home. Give me the last word.
Hey, want to say thank you to all the AF members of the Greensboro chapter who were out this past Sunday as we fed 350 plus athletes. Had a great time out there, just the kids appreciated it. They had a good time, and again, just thanks to everybody who pitched in and helped. We'll see you tomorrow night. I would advise you to get there early. From what I understand, I think that place, a Legacy Stadium. I think there's somebody. I saw someplace where there's a little over 500 tickets left in a 32,000 seat stadium. So,
packed.
Yeah, it's gonna be packed tomorrow night, and with the blue and gold marching machine there, it should be rocking. It should be rocking. We'll get this thing kicked off right, and like you said, if we get a bounce or two in a close game, you can't never tell. Can't never tell.
Yeah. All right, guys. So for cool Troy Poole, my man 94, Doug Fresh Brown, and of course President CT. I am Samaj Marsh. It's been a great episode of Inside the Valley. Shout out to Conor O'Neill from the Deacons Illustrated website. And we're going to see you guys tomorrow in Winston. A&T versus Wake Forest, 7 p.m. Till then, it's been Inside the Valley. See you next time. Peace.
Pride.
Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.